tatta dhinta takita dhimta dhinta tam.
Hello everyone, this is Padma Menon. On this channel I share with you information and practices from ancient goddess wisdom from India, which is where I was born and raised. And today's practice comes from a conversation that I had yesterday with some of the women that are in my group programs. We have very often we have these reflection forums where we actually reflect on the practice, ask questions and share our experiences. So at this forum yesterday, one of the women asked me why nature, connecting with nature and nature, the forest, is so important in the goddess tradition. And it is true that in the goddess traditions, the signals of the goddess are really very simple things in nature, like the anthill, like the rock, like trees. It's not about building a temple, writing a big philosophical text. That it's the everyday, most ordinary things, the earth, the soil, that are the signals of the goddess. And we've been doing goddess Matangi in our group programs. And Matangi, of all the goddesses, she is the goddess of the forest. She is the forest, she loves the forest, she moves in the forest. And so the forest was a very important aspect of her practice. So why is nature so important? In the goddess tradition, nature is more than just how we think about it now. So we all talk about how important nature is. We talk about the importance of being in nature. We talk about connecting with nature. We even talk about the teachings of nature. But what does it really mean? And in many ancient traditions, this connection was made through movement, because it is a visceral connection. It is a connection at an elemental level. It's not a thought or a philosophy or even a sentiment, but it is something that is an experience. It is an embodied experience which we have through movement. And so you can see that this dance, connecting with nature, and not in imitating nature, but it's a very different and deeper connection, is a very present way in almost all ancient traditions all over the world. So I'm going to share a practice with you today, which is about this connecting with nature. It is a practice that is from the Natya Shastra, which is a text on Indian dance that's about 3,000 years old. And it's a very quirky and fun practice. It actually does two things. There are two benefits of this practice. One is that it really gets you out of your mind through one of the biggest ways in which the mind colonizes the body, and that is time. So the mind absolutely is drenched in time. It loves past, present, future, linear, regular. So even when we talk about rhythm, it's all constructed by the mind. Even the most complicated rhythms, they're measured out. They are constructed by the mind, and sometimes our bodies are just illustrating these rhythms. So what is a rhythm that connects to something more elemental? Is there a rhythm, is there a way of connecting with the rhythms of nature? How do we respond to the rhythms of nature? That's one way, a very simple way of connecting with nature, with something, that consciousnness of nature, which is beyond our mind. So here's this practice. Like I said, it's really quirky and fun. So you need to have a sense of humor and a preparedness to be a bit nonsensical, yeah, as far as your mind is concerned. So here we are. We start off by dropping in, as we always do, into the lower body. So we bring our weight down and we just check that all our weight from the top of our head is down in the feet. Our arms are soft. The weight is in the hips as well, so you can push the hips a little bit to the back so you can feel that weight, and then you loosen up the hips. Yeah, universal goddess practice, freeing those hips so you can feel that lateral momentum, the shift of the weight. So in fact, if you can just connect with this movement, you can really take out a lot of that effort and agency from your movements. You'll actually find the movement will happen to a great extent. Okay, so here in this beautiful swinging of the hips. So now I'm going to start by a rhythm which is from the Natya Shastra, as I said. So we're going to start with where the mind loves to start, with a set rhythm. Okay, but we're going to play about this a little bit. We're going to trick the mind a little bit. So please do this with me. Dingle, dingle, jande, jande, jump. Very regular. Bukavalitaka. Fast, very fast. Extend the time. Te, te, nam. Take a deep breath. This is going to ask our minds to be very patient. And again, regular. Dingle, dingle, jande, jande, jump. Bukavalitaka. I know, I feel like giggling. And usually when I'm doing this with women, we're all giggling a bit. Te, nam. One more time. Dingle, dingle, jande, jande, jump. See? Because by now your mind has already got grip of this, even this rhythmic structure, even though it's broken up. It's how amazing the mind is. It makes regular, even the most irregular things, the mind will make it regular. We trick ourselves into thinking that, oh wow, this is so irregular. No, no, the mind has got a grip on it and made it known, made it regular. This is what the mind does all the time, making even what we think is strange and unknown into familiar and known. The Bukavalitaka. Te, te. Breathe. Are you breathing? Sometimes you're holding your breath because you're waiting for the next one. Nam. So now what I'm going to invite you to do, I hope you're doing this practice somewhere like where I am in the woods, or maybe even if it's in your house, I hope you can still hear some of the sounds of nature or any sound around you. It doesn't matter if it's the traffic or whatever it is, but it's just expanding to an awareness of a rhythm that is not coming out of our minds. Yes, so we're just trying to now connect with the rhythms of that bigger consciousness around us, of which we are a part. We're not separate to it, but we separate when we go just into our minds. So I'm going to now listen for some regular rhythms. I'm just going to listen. Say anything regular. Toot-toot-toot. I can hear a bird. Toot-toot-toot. Toot-toot. And then can I hear anything fast? Do-do-do-do. There's a bird. Beep, 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 beep. Blip, blip, blip. Chip, 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 chip. And what's extended time? The breeze. So here's one. Just picking up and it's just died. There's another little one picking up. Oh, that was quite little. It just died. There's another one. one of the things I find when I do this is that it's actually quite difficult to find very regular rhythms in nature. And you see now how our mind, which is so dominated by regularity, and yet in nature, I always find when I do this, it's actually the more irregular, the really fast ones which are more irregular, or the more extended ones that are more common. Yeah, so it's just what we do in this practice is really aligning ourselves with how even something like time is so multidimensional. Even in nature, it's so multidimensional, and there is an intelligence in our bodies, in movement, that can hold that multidimensionality. It's not possible in words and in the mind constructed things, but it is possible in our body. So here, there's some fast ones. There's a frog. And again, at the same time, there's a wind picking up. And sometimes there's layer upon layer. It's another layer. At the same time, here, there's a bit regularity there. You know, a bird said something 3 times fairly regular. So when you finish practicing, just allow yourself to just come back into that weight, the sensation, your hips, and just be with that sensation in your lower chakras. Yeah, just enjoy it. Just enjoy it. Feel that presence of that sensation through your weight, through that movement in your hips, and then you can come out of it. I hope when you come out, you will feel what it is to be taught by nature, what it is to follow nature, what it is to kind of be one with nature. Because, you know, we think that everything is about the mind, the intelligence of the mind is so, for thousands of years, we've been colonized by the mind, and we think that all intelligence is in the mind, and anything that the mind doesn't apprehend through its intelligence is really, doesn't even exist. It's not worthy. And yet, when you look around, what it reminds you is that there are things that have been here long before you have been, and will continue to be here. I'm here in Australia, which is this land which is very, very ancient, one of the most ancient lands in this world. And I can absolutely feel how ancient it is. And I don't mean it as a thought, but when I'm moving in these rhythms, in listening to these sounds of these life forms that have been here long before me, I really can feel that, you know, human civilization, what we create, what we make, is such a small part of this bigness of life and of consciousness. And it makes me feel so expansive and timeless. You know, there is a sense of timelessness, because that's these rhythms. They're so timeless, they're old, and they always are. I don't create them. And yet, I can actually embody them through movement. So I do hope that you will enjoy this practice, that it will bring to you this teaching in a way that words cannot, but you can actually feel it in your body, and that connection in that elemental way to whatever is around you, the trees, the sounds of nature, the sounds that don't come because we've made them, but they are just there because they are. They are just there. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you'll enjoy the practice. Let me know what you experience, what you think, how you feel, and I look forward to your company again on this channel.